I don't play the damn.
I got to keep on.
I don't play the damn thing,
I
man.
got to keep on.
Hello all and welcome
I
to
don't play
Proudland,
damn.
where it is all of Proud and half of me. I'm your host Roland.
Right.
Damn thing.
I'm your
Hello.
sitting here on my chair. I've said that like 5 times and I never remember
No,
it.
we're sharing the chair. No, normally
Yeah.
you say sitting next to me, but this time I'm on your
Yeah.
chair too.
Yeah.
We're sharing.
Yeah, we're sharing a chair.
Got two thin little butts sitting in the same chair.
Of course, my co-host, the guy with 5,000 MMR points. Proud, how are you?
All points of them.
Yeah. Well,
I'm okay. I played a game with Denny after those 2 games we played, and we won very easily because
I wasn't there.
Druid's a good hero.
Oh.
Yeah.
I thought you were gonna take like a stab, like a punch, like a.
No. Well,
weren't
as
there.
soon as me and Cyphus were talking, he was just like, I don't know what Roland was doing in the lane with that caustic at the beginning. And I was like, yeah, it sounded pretty awkward, whatever was going on over there.
It was bad. I'm tired today. I got woken up throughout the night, and then
You got woke?
I got awoken. Woken up. Awakened.
Are you woke though? That's the real question.
Like halfway there ish.
Half woke.
Half woke, and usually like I stayed up until 2-3 a.m. Woke up at about 5 a.m. Stayed up until about 7 a.m. with the baby. Went back to sleep and woke up at like 9 a.m. maybe, and then had a bunch of chores I had to go run because we're not taking the baby out of the house because rotavirus. It's a thing that's dangerous for babies to get if they're under 3 months. So we can't. One of us has to go, and so I just went. Anyway, didn't get any. I was planning on napping before we were going to play those games. Didn't happen, and now I'm here. And then I just played bad Dota. I mean, it just goes to show, like, I'm not going to play Dota after we record unless I can get, like, an EpiPen, but they're extremely expensive, and just, like, hit it right into my thigh for some adrenaline. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I don't think I can give you one.
Yeah, people used to have them just in their purse, in their car, to carry them everywhere they'd go. Now they're just way too expensive to just use to play Dota. So
Just add it to an alcoholic beverage. Just,
you just
rum and coke with an
EpiPen.
EpiPen. Like instead of like the little umbrella on the side, you just put an EpiPen in there, just like a little accent, and they look kind of, instead of like tropical, it's just like hospice.
Yeah, and I mean CVS did make a cheaper version of the EpiPen, but all the CVS's close on Sundays, and we now record on Sundays because you wanted to do the schedule change
Because
thing.
it's the Lord's Day.
It's the Lord's Day, and they can't give you EpiPens for cheap at CVS because they close on Sundays. It fucking sucks. So
what else are we gonna do?
oh, well, I'm gonna chug
We're
on.
not gonna go out shopping for our EpiPens. We might as well just record.
Yeah, serious. And have I explained to you like the dismal eating situation on Sundays? It's terrible. Like you have to prepare. Like basically, I know I could survive at least one day of the apocalypse because I deal with it once a week for 52 weeks a year.
Yeah.
Sunday, it's just
What do you do for your
It's
food?
desolate.
Do you guys cook or like?
yeah. Audrey made
No, I just mean like in general.
well, I usually just eat out a lot. Way too much. Audrey like every day has some I'm gonna start cooking thing because she really like since being a mom she wants to like apply gender roles for some reason. She really wants to be like a classic mom. Like that's like what she wants.
Uh-huh.
She wants to be that. And I am in like
She wants like a minivan and shit.
no, I don't know. She's getting there. But she wants to like she bought a sewing machine because she wanted wanted to learn how to
Dude,
sew.
I want a sewing machine.
I know.
I want a sewing
I was
machine
like,
so bad. Can she just give me the sewing machine?
it's a sweet
Is that
sewing
possible?
machine. She uses
I
it.
bet it is.
It's a cool one. It has all sorts of stitching patterns, but I had to like figure it out. So really, like as far as gender roles go, like I was the one that was like, all right, here's how we have to stitch it through here, and I'm pretty sure, and I'm like looking at the manual, and I don't think she's used it that much, but she, now she wants to cook.
What you can actually use in place of a sewing machine is like a handgun, and you just put a needle in the handgun and you just shoot it.
Yeah.
Makes a hole. Want it to go back through the other side? Shoot it again. Easy. It's no big deal. And there's like different guns you can get. I think you can get
semi-automatic. Yeah, I think it'd probably be easier to procure a gun than it would be to get a working sewing machine. God damn it, it's constantly
in this country, sure.
It's constantly unthreaded. I'm sure bullets are cheaper than needles, and I don't mean like needles. I mean like what you'd use with a thimble and needle.
Yeah,
type of needle.
I got you, dog.
Anyway, so she's wanting to cook. She made a breakfast casserole, and I ate it because
what's breakfast?
Like it's eggs and potatoes and sausage and bacon and cheese.
Okay.
And she just
is that pancake meal? Are you talking about pancake time? Because that's just pancake time. I don't know what breakfast is.
Yeah, no, she made pancake time for dinner.
Okay.
And she just kind of like
pancake time casserole.
She just had this like amalgamation of like what would normally be in breakfast foods, and just put it in
just like in a pile,
and just piled it into what you cook roasts in. What are they called? They're called fucking. Oh man, they heat things up.
Food chamber.
It's a food chamber, but it's like you plug it in.
A crock-pot?
A crock-pot. Thank you. And
I just wanted to go through as many funny things as I could find before I gave you the right answer.
So she puts it all in a fucking crock-pot, and like I told you, like as we were playing, I don't think you breakfast with a crock pot. I don't think crock pots are ever involved with breakfast.
I
don't think you're supposed to either, but she called me and I'm starving because we're playing on stream and it's Sunday. I can't get anything unless I want to go get like McDonald's or something like that, which no thank you. I've had my fair share. Used to be a big fan, not a big fan anymore.
Yeah, I could tell. One look at you and I was like, that boy.
Yeah, not a big.
I'm just kidding. You're beautiful.
Not a big fan of McDonald's. So I leave the stream early. You play the game with Denny, and we'll get back to my bad Dota playing. And I go in, and because she said she had dinner, and I was like, awesome, I'm fucking starving. And I look at it, and I'm like, oh, okay, well, all right. And I dive in, and it is just, I'm like, babe, these eggs, they're not cooked. Like I don't think we're supposed to eat raw eggs. Like I don't think the crock pot is cooking the egg. How long has this been in this thing for? She said, I don't know. I just put the stuff in there and I turned it on high, and it was like, oh god, we're gonna be screwed if like, you know, there's any sort of, I don't know, like crash where we can't go out and cook food.
You need to just give me money and I will cook your family and your child's food that is not runny eggs out of a crock pot.
It's runny, and the potatoes were hard. It was bad. And so I took it and I put it in a frying pan. It was just fried it and cooked it that way.
Thank you for the raw materials.
Like awesome, like just this amalgamation of materials.
Some ingredients.
And I ate it, and I'm hoping
I got some raw like breakfast ore in a crock pot. You put the breakfast ore and you smelted it into a solid food ingot, and then you ingested the food ingot.
Literally, like we both just look at each other and do the nod, like, yeah, this is good. This is delicious, isn't it?
Wait, did she eat the fried, or did you only have the like, she
made it breakfast? She made it for me. She's like ever since we've been together, she's had her own food that she makes for herself, which involves like edamame and like spinach and like healthy shit that she like there's no way. Good. No, there's no way I'd eat this. Like it's just green. It's like I could go out if it weren't so snowy, I could just pick grass and put it in a bowl and just like
buy some red wine vinegar and then eat whatever she eats, and then just pour red wine vinegar over it, and then you got a meal.
Or just red wine to choke it down. Anyway, so she does
Dude,
her
red
own
wine
thing.
vinegar is so good.
I'm sure it's good. You made spaghetti and
Go on,
it was good.
I can cook for you.
You did cook. You did cook for us all
I did.
in Seattle.
If you call what I make just spaghetti, it sounds so white trash and shit, but I make a fucking good ass pasta
with
an
good
Italian sausage base. Anyway.
It was really good. Yeah, so I ate it and now I'm like wondering like, oh shit, there was like uncooked bacon and sausage in that, and I hope that I panned it good enough, because that's about
No, I can be like your cute little maid who like makes you food and stuff, and then you like, you know, have like that thing with me that your wife gets kind of suspicious. So I'm like, no,
what are you?
I'm okay.
What are you talking about? No way, I would never.
No.
Yeah, and so
And then like one of you is kind of out of the house, and I take care of your kid a lot, and then Charlie like likes me better, and then we're like, maybe we just like, I don't know, run away together.
Charlie is very impressionable. Very, very impressionable at his very, very young age. So, you know, rewind 4 to 8 hours. I haven't eaten all day. I'm hungry. And then we get on Dota, find out our team is busier watching the Super Bowl instead of playing Dota.
We already knew that. You didn't, though.
I did, I think. I think I was in that meeting, but I remember there being some discussion of like, maybe we won't play. Maybe we won't go to watch Super Bowl instead. Anyway, we get there and it's just the three of us, and I was just like, fuck. And so I'm playing horrible Dota. Pudge is my first game. The only memorable hook was the time I hooked you away from a kill.
Yeah, I like that though, because you said like, yo, I'm gonna hook you, and I was just like, stop.
Yeah.
And then you did it, and I was like, okay.
You're like, all right. And that's just
sure
kind of how it went.
They're like, why did Slurk stop? And they're just like, what? And I just fucking flew across the map, and they're like, he's gone.
I was like, I'm a good Pudge. I can land hooks. I didn't specify whether it was enemy or ally. I can land them though. So that's been my day, and I've been exhausted. I just haven't had the good nap periods, because then we had to record this. I just got back from frying my uncooked crock-pot breakfast pancake time. And so here we are now to
your raw pancake time materials.
I don't think it was raw.
Pancake time ore smelted into the pancake time ingot that you were then able to ingest.
It was a lot like scrambled eggs with other stuff in it. Is what it turned out.
Was it a frittata?
No.
I've
had delicious frittatas. Yes, I've had frittatas. An egg based, like mixed with chives, usually pretty good.
Yeah, it's just like a
kind of like an omelet, I would say.
Disc.
Yeah, but it's a disc.
It's just a bunch of food in an egg disc.
Yeah, it's delicious. No,
suspended in egg.
But you know, it's Sunday, so I did what I had to do. I would survive for at least a day.
Is the grocery store open?
The grocery stores are open till like a specified time. So like it's 8:30 right now, so I would have like a half an hour. So I remember this used to be a problem when everybody drank a lot of beer, because it was the cool thing to drink Pabst Blue Ribbon. Everybody did it all the time. This is when I first moved out from my parents, and it was a big deal on Sundays because you had to be super careful with when you would go buy beer. It would be, you know, oh God, it's almost 8:30 p.m. Got to go get beer. Or you could just go to 7-Eleven. Yeah, it's super weird. And they stopped selling beer at 12:45 p.m. or a.m., I guess. So you can't buy beer anywhere, even on a normal day at 12:45 a.m. It's weird. You can't buy it until 6:30 a.m. Anyway, going back to why my Dota was bad, that's why. I'm
You were tired. I think we fucking get it, Roland.
Not nourished. Anyway, it was bad. But before we get into part 2 of Power Spikes covering position 2, 3, and 4, I want to read some reviews because they've been coming in like mad. You guys are fucking awesome. Right. Thank you.
We're gonna read one, only one, and then we're gonna read the other ones later because we did a lot of small talk.
Yes, we did. Okay, this is from Tanaden. It's a 4-star review. A 4-star review. This is the
4-star.
This is the first since Ursinity of the 4-star reviews.
Didn't we read this one?
No, we didn't. I talked about it because I knew it came through, but we didn't read it.
Yeah.
Best Dota podcast I found. Educational and entertaining. Overall, I love the consistency and weekly schedule. As a sub 100 MMR Trenchlord, I especially enjoy Theory Crafting Thursdays and Proudland. Personal pet peeve.
Pretty sure we read this one.
No, we didn't. Personal pet peeve saying you're going
Go
to...
on.
Maybe we did read it because I think we did read it because I got a message.
Yes. Personal pet peeve saying that you're going to close the show, but then you continue on for 20 minutes later. We read it.
Okay, then we'll read Shrek 2 on DVD because this one's hilarious. It's better than bad. It's good. 5 stars. Shrek 2 on DVD. Defense of the Patience is a great podcast that helps me reconcile my emotional abusive relationship with Dota 2 as I live vicariously through the show hosts who are quantifiable. We didn't read this. I said we were going to read this. I said we were going to read this on the...
Yeah.
I promise. Now I'm not crazy.
Keep going.
Okay.
Keep going.
As I live vicariously through the show hosts who are quantifiably better than me at everything. Listen is Cyphus, a pro elite dangerous player with the voice of a radio deity.
Yeah, we read this one.
I think you read this one.
I have never read anything.
And Roland, a Red Bull fiend who should really have put his foot down about the chandelier. I don't think...
Yep. I remember that comment. And I was like, hey, someone remember the chandelier. Like, I think me and Cyphus read this one.
When? The last show that we did was Friday.
The Wednesday show.
Okay, whatever.
No, then we read this. Because this, like, I knew that line was coming.
Okay, well, unless you have like a power to look into the future, we'll go ahead and
guarantee we read.
We'll figure it out. No more iTunes reviews are going to be read until we figure out which ones have and have not been read. This is getting confusing. You don't get double airtime if you leave a review. You get 1 airtime. But please leave a review. It's a huge help to us. Thank you all. So to continue our discussion, power spikes.
PS, the big PS.
The big PS. We got into position 1 and position 5. Position 1, we talked about Luna and Spectre. Position 5, we talked about Rubik and Crystal Maiden on Friday. Welcome again to Proudland. We are now on Monday. And if you're wondering why we are here on Monday, that is because the Monday show, so perfectly coined, because it was just on Monday and it was called the Monday show. Really, it's just the me and Denny bullshit about nothing show. Has been moved to Friday, and Proudland has taken the Monday slot. So in case you missed it, we had to do the Friday and Monday release. Here we are. We talked about those 4 heroes. Today, we're going to talk about position 2, 3, and 4. Just so you know, we're going for position 2, we're going to talk about Ember and OD. For position 3, we're going to talk about Underlord and Tidehunter. Position 4, we're going to talk about Slardar and Pudge. Just an FYI. Anyway, Proud, do you have anything you want to get into before we get into this?
No. Let's go.
Okay. Ember Spirit. A hero.
Yes.
A hero that was traditionally physical turned magical. What's going on with this guy? He used to be a scary late game, and now he's a scary level 10. What the fuck?
He's also scary late game too, because you can just sell all your items and turn into late game Ember. But that's actually something that happened in a game recently. Like, we just went super. It was like 70 minutes, and my Ember was like, "All right, I'm gonna go physical." And I was like, "What?" And then he just like walks to the secret shop and then walks back with an entirely new outfit of items and clothes and shit. It's like,
maybe the only hero that can go through such a transformation.
Yeah,
Dragon Knight goes through a really big transformation. I mean, the dude turns into.
He don't go through shit.
He turns into a fucking dragon, dude.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, but that's with a button press, not by selling all his items.
Yeah, no, it's much easier. Okay, Ember Spirit.
Okay, all right.
Power spikes. How does it work? How do I play him? How do I lane him? How do I do good with him? Especially new Ember. Please enlighten me, because I want to.
Okay, so I'm gonna use Ember Spirit as a kind of surrogate for mid heroes that are strong in like bursts and are really strong with like their ultimate and their level 6. Ember Spirit is slightly different from a hero like Queen of Pain, who's of course locked to this hard cooldown on on Scream of or Sonic Wave. That's what it's called. The big Scream is called Sonic Wave. The little one is Scream of Pain.
Yeah.
But yeah, like she's locked to that hard cooldown. Ember Spirit is kind of similar, at least at the start, in that he wants to use that like big burst of 3 fire remnants for the 300 AoE damage. And to get all 3 of those fire remnants back, it's like what 135 seconds or something. No, 45 times.
Oh, is it 45 per? I thought it was 30 seconds.
No, it's 125. It's one. Oh no, yeah, charge restore, 35 restore time, 45 second duration.
Oh, dang, okay. So 135 seconds.
Times 3 is the cooldown on that. There's less than that.
105 seconds.
110. Yeah, 105. Yeah, 105. Yeah. Okay, so Ember Spirit is like still slightly locked to the cooldown, but the main thing is just once he's 6 is when he goes like buck stupid in his ability to like walk around and create action on the map. Before 6, he's not going to do a lot of rotations. So Ember, his Flame Guard is also like a very strong element of the hero, but that's fairly specific to him. He has this kind of individual power spike where, so something I've been thinking about how to say a lot more recently is Dota is a game of like hard number thresholds. Like if you have enough damage to kill someone, they're not going to touch you. If you can reach the threshold to kill them and they can't reach the threshold to kill you, there's no degree, or there's no measure of degrees. Like there's no, oh, well, like I half killed him, but he kills me. So like, I came out, half ahead of that. Like it doesn't matter. There's no half dead in Dota. There's
it's
dead
life
and
or
not
death.
dead.
Life or death. For sure.
It's life or fucking death in this game. And Flame Guard is kind of like the perfect example of that. So I was going up against a Storm Spirit recently, and Storm had enough magic damage to basically like clear my Flame Guard. But as soon as I hit level 5 and I got my level 3 Flame Guard, he didn't have enough damage to clear my guard anymore. He didn't have 350 magic damage on him. So what I could do is I could just put it up and then go on him. And if he took time to try to put down my guard and then he didn't, I would just not take any damage and I just walk at him and kill him. So the main thing about Ember Spirit, like as far as his early power spikes, is just as soon as you get a fresh level in Flame Guard, you want to push that advantage immediately. Put up your Flame Guard, run at them basically, and just make good off the fact that you have like Radiance level damage at level 5 or 3 or whatever the fuck.
It's kind of like Shadow Fiend. Shadow Fiend's always waiting for that odd level in the laning phase, right? Like you're waiting for level 3, you're waiting for level 5.
It's a flesh rate.
Yeah.
Which, a nice fresh raise, gets him out, kill everybody.
Mm-hmm. With Ember, so quickly, this is a hero that I want to quickly, it's a blind spot for me. So Searing Chains is a random number of people surrounding Ember Spirit get chained by the level the Searing Chains is, correct? Like it will chain a certain amount of people. Oh, it's always just 2?
It's always 2.
But it's just the damage goes up?
The duration and the damage go up.
Okay.
The damage sometimes goes down.
He'll hit everybody once in the area, his Sleight of Fist?
Yes.
Okay, and then
when you press his W, everything in that area that you saw will get hit once.
Okay. And then E is Flame Guard, obviously. I'm not trying to like stupid simplify this, but so this blocks magical damage, right? And then it will break?
Yep, not pure damage, just pure magic damage.
So only physical damage will go right through it. Pure damage will go right through it. It's just like a Skywrath mage will do nothing to him until that breaks.
Yep, exactly.
Okay. I just wanted to get, because I knew, like, okay, the dude's like glowing red, and I know that like he's not taking any damage from me when I'm a Skywrath mage, say. And then all of a sudden he is. I just didn't know if it was 100% magic block or not. Just wanted to clarify that.
Yeah, no, it only blocks magic damage.
Okay.
And as soon as it absorbs its max amount or blocks its max amount of magic damage, then the damage aura thing goes away.
And basically,
so like the Radiance burn ceases as soon as you take, however, like it says magic damage absorbed 50, 200, 350, 500. As soon as you take that amount of magic damage, it dissipates and you no longer have that Radiance burn coming out of your butt. And
it's very visual too. Like you can see very clearly when it's on and when it's off. Okay. I just wanted to be clear on that because sometimes it feels like it's blocking physical damage and I just wanted to make sure that no physical damage was blocked. But can physical damage break the shield, or is it just duration that's breaking the shield?
No, the only thing that has to do with Flame Guard going away before the duration expires is how much magic damage it absorbs. If
And
it absorbs
duration.
its threshold of magic damage, and also the buff can just run out. But like it's not like hitting it makes the duration go down. It's just either after 20 seconds or after Ember Spirit has had 500 magic damage thrown at him.
Wow. You'd think Pipe would make some sense on Ember Spirit. Like block even more.
Really.
Block magic. I guess doubling up on everything. That's kind of like Radiance on Doom.
I'm not sure what
Like it's doubling up on everything.
I love Radiance on Doom. I mean, I don't think it's good, but way back in the day, I loved it.
Mm-hmm. But usually people like to double up.
Anyway,
I don't know. It's like Blink
the strength of Ember Spirit isn't that he has an absorb of magic damage or whatever. Like it's how evasive he is. Like normally you're not gonna take 500 magic damage on Ember Spirit if you play it well, or if you do, then you like absorb it and it's nice. But like I don't know. I don't think there's a lot of logic to Pipe on Ember Spirit. There's so many other things you can go.
For sure. Okay, so we're basically looking at small power spikes at level 3, level 5, level 6, level 7.
Oh, but I'd say a pretty big one at level 6, because as soon as you get 6 and you have a bunch of mana, it's when you can do a bunch of wild ass shit with them, right?
Yeah.
And that's when you can like drop 2 remnants, hit them, and then have the next remnant to like catch up as they're running away from you. Like that's some pretty strong shit. And then that's also when you can like teleport to a lane and use your remnant as a gap closer and all that shit. It can get pretty good.
Or teleport home. I mean, it's almost infinite sustainability so long as you have TPs. And that's why the Boots of Travel became super popular.
Although I'm not sure if I would call like having full health and mana power spike, right? That's sort of just like it's definitely like you're stronger, but yeah, it's a time where you can take advantage of the hero
for sure.
At least we could say. But yeah, so as far as his power spikes go, and what it means to identify when you have that power spike. So you have a threshold activating, I would say is the best way to think about it, with Flame Guard hitting at 1, the threshold is for 50 magic damage. Super low. Not really a power spike unless you're against like a TA or a Phantom Assassin or someone who just doesn't have any magic damage. That's an easy thing to identify. If whoever you're going against has no magic damage, then your level 1 Flame Guard is going to be an 8-second duration of 30 damage per second, which is like, 240 damage or something like that? That's pretty good for a level 1 spell. Assuming you can get 8 seconds of you hugging them. But, if you're against an OD or a Queen of Pain, depending on what Queen of Pain skills, or I don't know, anyone, your level 1 Flame Guard isn't going to do shit. It's just you're going to pop it, and then they're going to use a nuke, and then it's going to be gone, and you'll take in a bit of damage, and your shit's on cooldown, which is no fun. And then, of course, like that's also going to be true until you're level 3.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Sorry.
So the thing that baffles me with Ember Spirit, I want to go on just a little side tangent, we'll come right back, is this hero already felt really strong. Like we haven't even made it to level 10. We haven't even made it to level 10. We're talking about the power spike of level 3 when Flame Guard hits level 2. The power spike of level 5 when Flame Guard hits level 3. The power spike of level 6 when he can aggressively be basically in 2 places at once. Not really, but can move very quickly. And then
he can be places.
Yeah, he can be a bunch of places. Why can you now that we're getting to level 10, which as everybody knows, level 10 on Ember Spirit gives him 15% spell amp. His shit.
That's his talent.
That's his talent, not skill. Sorry, talent. The only thing that doesn't really apply to is Sleight of Fist unless you get a Maelstrom. Why can you kind of walk us through like what in the fuck the devs were thinking on giving him this?
I don't know. It's not.
Do you have an idea?
I mean, it's good. It's like it enables a different kind of Ember Spirit. I think both are fairly viable, but it's like way more fun to do the spell Ember Spirit.
Is it more fun or is it better? Overall. Yeah, it's better, I think.
Well, I'd say both. I don't think it's wildly better. I don't think there's that much of a like incredible difference between like Veil into the Battle Fury Ember Spirit and Battle Fury Ember Spirit into the spell stuff. The main thing is that the spell stuff is like way better when you start going it, but as you get to the late game, it definitely falls off pretty hard. Once you get the main thing I don't like is the 2-second plus 2-second duration steering chains. Like that's the wild shit from my perspective. I think 15% spell amp might be a little bit high. Maybe like 12% would be okay. But I don't think it's that insane, honestly. Like I haven't been terribly impressed by it. I know it's really good and it's top tier, but as far as like mid heroes that have made the patch like unplayable, I mean, this is no OD. This is no fucking crazy Shadow Fiend.
Or even Leshrac for a while. Leshrac owned
it's no
the mid lane.
Lesh. Yeah, this is no Lesh.
You're right.
Holy shit.
Yeah,
this is nowhere
Leshrac
near
was
how wild a Lesh was.
So obnoxious. And they made one slight change.
It takes a decent amount of skill too.
Yeah, so I will admit I played it. And what I found that was also cool with it was that level 10 and my Veil seemed to perfectly coincide.
Yeah.
So
like, that's a power spike too. You get a key item that synergizes with like one of your power spikes at level 10. Like that's definitely something to like emphasize. So you ever get like an item in an important level at the same time.
Yeah. So right as I'm rounding, the home base of getting level 10 and the plus 15 spell amp, I'm getting Veil of Discord, which is adding even more magic damage. So I will say that I thought it was easy because I watched so many people wreck me with it. And, its remnants are pretty obvious, very obvious. They just look like Ember Spirit, but like hollow. So if you just run away from them, you're not going to take damage from them and they can't move once they've been placed. So, like when I was playing it, I lost horribly and was like, that's a little harder than what I thought it was. So it is definitely skill oriented.
Gets behind.
Yeah, and he has to be. It seems like he does have to snowball in order for that to really work out. And I've seen so many Embers get stuck on the Octarine, where they get their Veil, they get their Maelstrom or whatever, Maelstrom, Boots of Travel, Veil, and
Blade Mail, Blink, whatever.
Blade Mail, Blink, yeah, and then they go for the Octarine and they just get stuck and never finish the Octarine.
Yeah, they stalled out.
Yeah, and that's nice. At least it doesn't go all game. But I don't know. I always thought Ember was good. Anyway, so we've identified little spikes. The big spike being probably the level 10 plus Veil with Ember.
Yeah, I'd say that's the main emphasis on this new Ember is like once you get your main item that kind of fills you out and gives you I guess fills you out is the main term. Like you get enough mana to do all your shit. You now have armor. You have some health regen built in, so you can always be all around doing what it needs to, like doing what you need to do.
Yeah.
God, someone is like in Santa Cruz chat in my fucking Dota client and like misquoting songs. This is so distracting.
So with Ember, are the next power spikes revolving around his ultimate level?
I think it's entirely item based. Ultimate level is decent. Each one is another 300 damage on your ult, which is definitely strong. But it's worth noting that your ultimate, to use it as a damage source, is a full commitment, right? As soon as you do that, you do not have an escape plan. Yeah. And to balance that out, you need like an item. I think you need an item timing because your items are how you kill people while still having your remnants. And your ult level up is just like, you just go in on a motherfucker. So you kind of need to balance it out by not only do you need the really strong ability to get in there and fuck them up, but you also need the items so that like you don't have to go in there and fuck them up on every engagement. Like if I just have a level 3 ultimate, but all I've got on me is like, a Veil, to get whatever kill I get, it's probably just going to be one person because the AoE on Remnant isn't that big. But I'm just going to die and get punished afterwards. Like Ember Spirit is a kind of like sit in the middle of a fight and do things, but you need to actually be doing things the entire time. You can't just like use all your shit and then like, wait around and right click until your shit's up again. Like you got to use all your shit. And that process of using your shit has to never end until you are out of that fight.
Yeah.
So
like a fire ninja.
Yes.
Like you've got to be around.
You need to constantly be jumping around and shit.
Yeah.
You can't just like, whoop, ramming it in. hey guys, and it's like, whoops, forgot my smoke bomb. Guess I died out. Like that's not how you play this game.
And that's exactly how I felt when I was playing. It was like 3 remnants, go in, and the enemy Magnus is like, I'm just gonna walk away from this. I'm just gonna, and then I'm like, damn, I have to wait 105 seconds before I have all 3 back.
Yeah, before I can do shit again. Yeah.
Yeah. So
yes, do you have
it's feast or famine for sure with Magic Ember. Whereas physical Ember,
you definitely need the items.
Physical Ember is like focused on farming and split pushing and being somewhere else while a fight is happening, and then coming into the fight and maybe cleaning up, holding high ground. Here's
the way I like Magic Ember. Physical Ember is some coward ass bullshit.
It is
like
cowardly.
If I were to name the most cowardly hero in Dota 2, it's a fucking rapier Ember Spirit who has no interest in being anywhere near anything that's remotely fun. And then there's Magic Ember who's like, I'm just gonna pick up all this shit. I'm gonna be in the middle of you, and I'm not gonna give a fuck about anything. And like that's
true.
who I want to be. I want to be in the middle of a bunch of angry, sweaty nerds and just like jump on all their heads. That sounds like a great time.
You're absolutely right with that. I mean, what was it? It was like top lane's pushing an Ember, hurry TP. Ember TPs. He maybe takes a tier 2, comes back for the fight, sits on high ground, and just sleight of fists over and over and over and over. And it's like triple kill.
And the entire team fight is just like, guys, hold out. I've got another slight in 2 seconds. And it's like, well, that one wasn't good. Let's hold out again. Maybe the next one will crit.
Let me get another Daedalus. Yeah.
You're right. Maybe let me sell a Daedalus and get another rapier. No, that didn't work. Maybe sell a rapier and get a battle fury. It's just like, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah. Okay. So maybe the devs were like, hey, this is a little stale on Ember. Let's give an alternative option, seeing as we live in a world of alternatives. Can we summarize Ember real quick?
Yeah, we'll bring it back because we're probably about done with the show at this point. We haven't really covered anything.
Let's summarize
Ember Spirit, and this pertains to mostly any hero, any mid spell damage tempo based hero, whether that be a Queen of Pain or a Puck. Not really Shadow Fiend. Shadow Fiend's more like the OD. But anyway, his main spikes come from his main damage spell that you identify. For a Queen of Pain, it's your Scream of Pain, your main nuke. For a Puck, it's your Illusory Orb, your Q. Let's see. Let me name one other spell damage.
Storm Spirit.
Here. He's a little bit more of a dying breed. Yeah, Storm Spirit is a little bit more diverse with the way his spells work out. Let me find one, buddy. Let me find one. Mirana. Here we go.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Mirana.
Starstorm. Once you get your Q on Mirana, your Starstorm is your main damage spell, or the main spell that's going to get shit done in a team fight outside of your ultimate. So every time you get a level in that's a bit of a power spike. It's true for Shadow Fiend with Raise 2, as you said earlier. Let me find Ember Spirit in this hero thing again. Okay, so you've got a power spike on that. Your Flame Guard's your main spell. Every time you hit 3 and 5, it's a bit of a power spike. It's especially true for Ember Spirit because it's such a game of thresholds. With Flame Guard being a threshold to kill someone and also a threshold for it not to be broken. And then as soon as you hit 6, your ultimate's a big deal. That's another power spike you're given. What I like to do the most, since you're mid and I've identified that your most powerful spell every time you upgrade that's a power spike. And you level up so quickly on mid, and also there's not really ever a perfect time to leave mid. You have all the luxury in the world to get to level 7. Before you actually leave your lane. I almost never leave lane at 6. I almost always leave lane at 7, on whether it be Queen of Pain or Ember Spirit and all that. So that way you hit the so if you compare it, so one thing you have to worry about whenever you're rotating is, okay, what if the enemy mid does the same thing? I need to cough. Okay, so let's say you're Ember Spirit against Queen of Pain. You're mid, you hit your power spike, you're 6, and you rotate off that. The enemy Queen of Pain is still mid. So you go aggressive on their safe lane. You haven't gained any experience because you're walking. You're level 6, you go in. As soon as you start to go in, their Queen of Pain hits 7. And as soon as she identifies you're going in, she TPs, and then you're at level 6 Ember Spirit. She has her level 4 now of Queen of Pain, and it takes out 2/5 of your Flame Guard, and then one enemy support throws a nuke, you're out. Okay, oh no, I guess if you're level 6, it's almost your entire Flame Guard, and like a level 1 CM with a Frost Nova could fucking cancel it at that point. But let's say you're Ember Spirit, you wait till you're level 7, then you rotate. Queen of Pain's still sitting there. She waits till and she gets level 8 once you rotate in. Level 8 is not a level where she's going to get another important level, another important skill. Maybe she'll get a second point in Blink. It doesn't fucking matter. And then she'll TP in, and yes, she'll have another level on you still. Like, there's still a 1 level difference between you two, but it's not the important level. Level 8 is not important. Level 7 is. So if you rotate on 7, even if they get a little bit extra from your lane and then try to punish you, it's not going to be as big a difference as it was if you left when you were 6. Does that make sense?
That makes perfect sense. I mean, level 5 has been or level 7 is obviously, like, for Viper, for me, I mean, it's my max W. It's when I'm at my strongest for a while. Until what, level 11? Level 10, I guess, would be, or level 9 is my next big one.
Who fucking knows? The world's a mystery.
Yeah, I'm not doing math in my head very well. So, Ember.
Yeah, okay, so that's a basic thing for a spell damage based mid hero that has like a main spell that they like, whether it be a Mirana, Queen of Pain, whatever. And an ultimate that's good. If you are going to rotate, or you do want to fight, you want to make sure you are pressuring at your 3, pressuring at your 5, and then maybe try to, if the kill presents itself at level 6 mid, I mean, go for it. But the more reliable rotation is going to be at level 7. And the more reliable kill also at level 7. But like, you can kill mid if you hit 6 when they're 5, if you're 1v1 and all that business. But I would recommend hitting 7 before you rotate, and not rotating at 6, because then it'll be really easy for a level 7 mid hero to punish you when they have 4 points in their strong spell and you have 3 points in yours.
Agreed. Okay. Outworld Devourer, Obsidian Destroyer, the guy who sends you to the nether reaches. Let's talk about him and why you feel he is different from Ember. This is something that I haven't asked you this question until being on air, because I wanted to know. Because honestly, I can't really make a huge delineation between the two. So I'd love to hear your case and then the spikes between them.
Okay, so if we want to talk about a delineation, we have to, I guess, first state the properties that the first one has and show how OD is different. One is that Ember Spirit has a main damage spell in his E. I would say OD is slightly similar in the way Astral Imprisonment works. It's a damage spell, sure, it goes up to 325 damage, it does damage in AoE, but I wouldn't exactly call it his main spell. It's just the only spell that he has. OD is a hero that's mostly interested in doing damage with his Arcane Orb as far as the hero is concerned, yeah? But you just can't do that. He needs his other spells to enable him to do that, and he needs items to enable the Arcane Orb. So it's not so much like OD is really strong with a max level Astral Imprisonment. Like, it's pretty hard to kill anyone with this. It's not like, you use it and then you do a bunch of damage and you use it again. Like, you use it and then you just sit around with your thumb up your ass waiting for the enemies to, like TP in and save whoever you imprison for 4 seconds. The only way it really works as a kill spell is if you get them really low and then you imprison them to finish them off. But even to do that, like, it's not easy for an OD to get someone low until unless he's like imprisoning them the whole time. So he can't really like shock and not kill anyone. There's no like, oh no, he's running me down with Flame Guard. Oh no, I'm dead. It's like he's right clicked me several times. Uh-oh.
Yeah, it's kind of, you're gonna die. Like, it's kind of like a battle where you're standing there and you're like, okay, I'm gonna lose, and then 5 seconds later you die. Or something like that. It's not as
5 seconds
100
later,
to 0.
he now imprisons you.
Yeah.
And then 4 seconds after that, and you die. Unless he messed it up, in which case, you survive with 2 health, and then someone TPs in and saves you.
Yeah.
And also, not only that, he doesn't have this like 1 power spell, but he also doesn't have a crazy ultimate that he just like drops and kills you. He doesn't have a sonic wave. He doesn't have a, activate remnant or all that shit. He has, or an Omni Slash, whatever. He does have Senega's Eclipse, which is a strong spell, but it doesn't really do any damage until you've got a shit ton of int on you. The way his ult works is it scales off the difference between your int and the whoever is hit by the AoE's int. And of course,
the damage
there's not going to be a
difference.
huge difference.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you need to be, unless you're up against like the dumbest hero in the game, which I Who's the dumbest hero in the game again? Like as far as intelligence
I don't know.
goes, it's one. It's,
Used to be like PA was pretty far down there. I think it's Troll Warlord still.
yeah. So yeah, there are a lot of. So you have to make sure
Unless
you
you're
either
against
find those.
5 Troll Warlords.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You need to work for
even
your
then,
ult.
just the intelligence
Yeah.
difference isn't big.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
Like,
main way OD works, like all of his skills work together, right? You use your Arcane Orb, which steals int from them. You can support your Arcane Orb by having a bunch of points in Essence or giving you a mana refund every time you cast it, because it's 160 mana once it's max level. And then once everyone's int is stolen, then you Sanity's Eclipse. Or just once you have items, then you Sanity's Eclipse.
Yeah.
But of course, if you're low level, you're not going to have any of these things. So like OD is a mid hero that needs to gather up a lot of bullshit before his full toolkit is unlocked. And there's similar for a hero like Shadow Fiend. Shadow Fiend is not going to get Requiem of Souls until he has full Necromastery. If he doesn't have 4 points of Necromastery, Requiem of Souls is not going to do any fucking damage. But he's more interested in Shadow Rays because it's 3 fucking nukes that do 325 damage. So he's going to, get max Shadow Rays and max Necromastery, and then get Requiem of Souls at 9, sometimes at sometimes at 11, depending on how you want to play it. I get Presence of the Dark Lord at 9 pretty often if I'm just farming.
Yeah. -2 arm is nice.
3.
Oh, okay. -3 armor is even
stuff,
better.
right?
Yeah, even better. So
Yeah, 3 is bigger than 2.
So I feel like power spikes with OD, like OD also has to work for his power spike. I know that the new OD meta is a lot with like W and his passive, which grants him mana, a chance on mana for every spell that he casts. They consider Arcane Orb a spell being cast, so you need to get your passive up to a certain point before you can be straight shooting people down with your Q.
And then not only that, but you need a big enough mana pool that the fluctuations in how often your Essence Aura procs to give you mana back, you need to make sure that that doesn't spike you down to 0 and then make you stall out. And also, Arcane Orb only does as much damage as you have mana remaining. So if you go 4 auto attacks without getting Essence Aura to proc, like if you're sitting at 50% mana, your Arcane Orb is going to do half of its damage potential. That's why the Arcane Orb damage fluctuates a lot. So if you don't have a lot of points in Essence Aura and your mana keeps dropping before it goes back up, if it's not consistent, then Arcane Orb isn't even going to do that much damage.
I did not know that, but definitely having 125 mana on OD and being like, oh god, please give me a quarter of my mana back
is
the worst feeling in the world, which is why you usually build int related items on him, with the exception of Hurricane Pike. But even Hurricane Pike has 16 int on it, so
Force Staff in it.
Yeah, it has a 4-staff in it. It has 16 int. 16 times 12 is a number bigger than 144. So that's some mana right there.
Does it have 16?
Huh? Yeah.
Does it have 16?
Yeah, 16. 16
no, it's
int.
10.
No, it has
Hurricane Pike has 10 intelligence.
I thought it had 16 int and 20 agi. I thought it worked that way.
No, 15 strength, 20 agi. It used to be more strength. But yeah, 15 strength, 20 agi, 10 int.
Oh, well, then it has 120 int on it. Which, yeah, 4-staff, whatever. And it works really well in tandem with, if you can get 5 successive hits of Arcane Orb off on somebody, that's huge. So let's identify those
kind
power
of weird
spikes.
Hero. Yeah. So there definitely are slight power spikes when he hits, 3 and 5 and all that. Like that is when he gains more nuke damage, and that's kind of when you can gank his lane. Because if he's gonna just use Astral Imprisonment as a finisher or an execute, if you will, he needs someone to help him get to that point. So if you do gank his lane, then he can Astral Imprison someone for the final after you get them to the 175 health damage threshold or whatever, to then be able to be executed by the imprisonment. But on its own, it's sort of just a spike in lane control. As soon as you can clear the wave out or hit the range creep before it's in deny range and then imprison it and it'll die every time. Those are just the different kind of spikes to deal with in terms of your laning power. But in terms of just team fighting, it's a lot more item and overall kit based. Like getting your treads and say your force staff, that's a bit of a power spike. But for the most part, you just want to hit, whether it be through items or levels or whatever, whenever you hit a point when you have at least 3 points in Essence Aura, your imprisonment maxed, and maybe 2 points in Arcane Orb, that's when you're in a sort of power spike of sorts. And also just if you have enough mana to support Arcane Orb, or that it does a lot of damage. If you don't have the levels, maybe it's through now. Maybe you've already finished a Hurricane Pike, or you have, I don't know, 4 staff and an Atos or something for some reason. Oh, sorry. I'm just like,
I think Atos makes a ton of sense. I think Atos is like,
I hate Atos.
I don't understand why. Trap them there.
It just doesn't do what he needs.
30 int trap. 30 int. Keep them there so I can hit them with an Arcane Orb. But it just keeps them there.
This is I feel strongly about.
Okay, well then I'm going to argue on the negative. Then
that's fine. Let's go through an item build for OD right quick. All right.
Do you want to hear like my item build and then hear your item build? Like, do you want to go?
Sure,
that way?
I'm getting into demo mode right now. I will build us an OD, build a bear workshop style, and we'll see. Okay,
let's build a bear. This. So I'm OD. Okay. I'm starting null tango. And
no. We don't need those, whatever. I'm going to get a bottle.
I get null tango. I'm going to get a bottle. I'm going to get...
And your next item is probably like treads or
It's just going to be treads, yeah. So it would be boots and then boots, treads. And then I'm going to look toward a 4-staff for sure at this point.
All right. You got a 4-staff on you now? Probably have a TP too.
Probably have a TP.
We may have that in the stash. It's fine.
Yeah, I have a TP.
All right, so we got 1 item slot left. What are we going?
I am going to go ahead and finish the pike.
Yep, sounds good. All right, we got 1 slot open.
And now I'm going to build an Atos.
That's weird.
Yeah. And then I'm going to get
let's
Shiva's
find this
guard.
Atos. Doesn't exist. Okay. And then we're going to get a Shiva's guard.
I'm going to trade that out for one of my null talisman. My null talisman goes and I get a Shiva's
still have the
guard.
TP. All right, so I have no interest in this Rod of Atos if we have a Shiva's.
It's a lot of the ain't adds together. And now we have tons.
Yeah, but I have no attack speed now. So I have 2 items that give me wild amounts of int, but I have no attack speed, and I already have my disable in the slow on Shiva's guard now. Okay. I don't really need the Atos.
Reset the hero.
I would have just preferred a faster Atos.
Reset the hero.
Okay. All right.
Let's hear your build.
I'm at Hurricane Pike. Okay. My build here. I'll probably go Hurricane Pike and then maybe Blink Dagger. And then I'll go Shiva's. And then next I'll get BKB. And then after that, I don't know, Moonshard or something.
Okay, so game going good. Moonshard.
If I don't want Blink, if I don't want the Blink, I would just go to Shiva's. And I almost always also have a wand on this hero. So I would go like wand, Pike, Shiva's, or whenever I get the Blink.
Wand is really good.
Like wand, Pike, Shiva's, Blink. Wand is absurdly good on OD.
Yeah.
I just like if you go the Pike, that's such a mid-game. It's such like a mid-game item. It's like right at that. Not a mid-game item like a Helm of the Dom. Dom, I guess, is an early game item. But like Hurricane Pike is the same price point. It's even more. I think it's 4,300 gold, and then you go for an Atos.
Which
conventional
is
wisdom says like if you buy an item, you're in general going to buy a more expensive item next, with the exception of like Blink Dagger. That of course is an interesting knowledge unless you actually know how to utilize it. But the point is like if I'm looking at, because that's only really relevant once I'm approaching this kind of 6-slot territory. But like let's say I have BKB and all this. Okay, I can drop bottle at this point. But like I'm trying to get my big ticket items, right? And then OD also gets wild strong once he gets a much of attack speed. But if I go the Atos here, I'm left with, it's just like Hurricane Pike gives some attack speed, but it's just the fact that you're going Atos into Shiva's that is just not, that's just not a solid item progression.
Probably take forever.
And then you try to find your attack speed. It's too long with no attack speed item.
What about drums? What if I were to have drums? That's
drum hits the Hurricane Pike item slot. It just doesn't do a lot for you.
Didn't drums become more int based opposed to as it once was
agi
based?
Mana regen now.
Oh, gotcha.
But it only gives you 9. Like I'm still gonna build a 4-staff over a drum every time, right? Like there's no situation where I'm like, instead of a 4-staff this game, I want a drum, because it's like, does this drum build into Hurricane Pike? If not interested.
Yeah.
Or just is it as good as a 4-staff? Yeah, there's Yeah, and Atos, I feel very similarly about. Like, Hurricane Pike is great because it's a Force Staff is an early game item for him. Dragonlance also is like good. It's just like every little part of it builds you up, and then you don't need any of these mid game items. And then Atos is like this weird 3,000 gold thing that doesn't actually solve any of your problems. And you're gonna have to get rid of it eventually. Like, you don't have any armor without Shiva's Guard. You have, like, I don't know, maybe 4 armor.
Yeah.
And so you get Shiva's,
Not
and if you
good
get an
edge
Atos, you still have 4 armor. And you have like this cripple on someone, but like, what if someone BKBs? And then like you have an Atos, and you're like, oh no.
And literally you can't
just
even
die.
arcane orb them. Okay, so let's identify so level 6 isn't a power spike for OD, because you really don't want ult at level 6. Basically, your power spikes are when you notice you have a lot of stolen intelligence. Is that basically what I'm getting from this? And you have a lot of items?
It's when you have, all right, so I'm leveling up an OD right now. Okay, so if I'm level 5, I got 2 points imprisonment, 2 points essence aura, or 3 points imprisonment, 2 points essence aura. I feel okay. Not great. I'm dominating the lane pretty well. I can imprison motherfuckers. And this is pretty much the same for like how a Shadow Fiend or who else would I say? Kind of Phantom Assassin a little bit. Ursa certainly. Maybe even Razor, I would say. Like, these aren't strictly hard power spikes, but I'm a bit better at dominating my lane at these points. But I keep leveling up. I hit 7. I have 4 points in imprisonment. At 6, I like to get my first point in Arcane Orb on this guy. So I have like a kind of solid smattering. I have like a very entry level version of my kit. I have an Arcane Orb at the very least. It does some damage. Probably adds like 60 damage at this point. Max imprisonment, a couple points of Essence Aura, so I have some spells. I don't know. Level up again. Maybe 3 points in Essence Aura, level up again. I have my second point in Orb. And I think that's when I feel pretty comfortable fighting, when I have like a Force Staff, 2 points in Orb, 3 points in Essence Aura, because that's the point where I can be using my Orb in a fight, and I can still have my Astral Imprisonment to like save for when it's good and not try to use it as damage.
Okay.
And then I have like, Treads and Force Staff and a Wand. That's, I would say, like, for these kind of like general, more carry-ish mids, a lot of them aren't so much power spike oriented as they are like, I guess they just kind of have little peaks in their long mountain of like, of a strength climb.
Okay.
And I would say for a hero like Shadow Fiend, like when you hit your odd levels and you get the extra point in raise, that's good. Outside of 1, you're going to get, probably your Soul Reap or whatever at level 1. But then at 3, 5, 7, those are all a bit of a power spike. And then Shadow Fiend also, just if you have a ton of souls when you ordinarily shouldn't, like anytime you have a new level of, Soul Reap or whatever, and you hit max souls, that's a bit of a power spike. But for OD, and then I would also say for like most other heroes, it's just once you get a shadow of your late game kit online. So like what OD's late game kit looks like is I'm throwing out all these arcane orbs and you can't touch me and I do wild damage and you have to run away from me. And as soon as you get that second point in arcane orb, that's when you're like, okay, now I steal 2 in instead of 1. That's double. And I'm actually have enough. I have 3 points in Essence Aura with my Force Staff. I have a big and like Int Treads. That's a big enough mana pool to be like actually, keep my mana up. That my Arcane Orb is doing some real damage. And then the power spikes just kind of come with your items for the most part. Once you get that, your Ascendant's Eclipse actually doesn't matter too much. I mostly just skill it for the mana drain. I feel like it's better to just use it at the start of a fight to drain like 40% of whoever gets hits mana. And then rather than like saving it for the end of the fight, unless of course people BKB and then you save it. But yeah, like using Ascendant's Eclipse early and then just like,
wow,
hitting some motherfuckers.
So you don't use it as like the nuclear magic fucking bomb. Bam! You're not saving that.
Early game, it's almost always better just as a mana burn. Yeah.
It's just kind of like an AoE.
Once you hit like,
just psh.
Yeah, I mean, because the damage isn't going to be so great. Like, okay, in order for it to be as good as like one of your right clicks, because your right clicks are going to be doing like, I don't know, 200 damage, after armor reductions and that sort of thing. And for Sanity's Eclipse to do more than that, let's see, indifference multiplier, like you would want it to do at least like a standard nuke of damage, yeah? Like that's a baseline level of something I would desire. And that's like...
Yeah, you'd want it to do some like, I'd say like 300 damage. I mean, it's...
Yeah, you would need 30 more int than someone else for it to do 300 damage. That's a lot of int.
Especially, I mean, pre 25 minutes. I mean, or maybe
if you
pre-20
don't have
minutes.
an attack speed item and you're only stealing 3 int per right click, like maybe you'll be 10 to 20 int over someone and it will do like 200 damage.
Yeah.
But also it's like an AoE, so you want it to be like this huge hammer drop. And once it's level 2, it's gonna it'll cost a lot of mana, but it's not a big deal. But anyway, yeah. So it's like not a great damage spell. So it's not like, oh, when I get a new level of Sanity's Eclipse, Power Spike. It's all of these skills are more enabled by the items that you have available to you. So I'd say like when you get Force Staff, Power Spike, Hurricane's Pike, Power Spike. If you go Blink, when you get the Blink, decent Power Spike. But the main fact is you're not going to really hit any of your Power Spikes until your skills become available. So like when I'm sitting here level 9 with 2 Arcane Orb, Astral Imprisonment, 3 Essence Aura, I'd say this is a pretty strong timing for me. Maybe at level 10, I'll get the 250 mana. Level 11, I'll skill my first Sanity's Eclipse. Level 12, maybe my second, and then I'll max my last point in Essence Aura, and then fix my Arcane Orb up. That's like a decent build, not incredible, but I'd probably have to look at it again if I were to save. That's probably what I would do if I was getting some use out of the Sanity's Eclipse. But and then I would say for PA as well, it's not like once she's 7, that's a decent power spike to get a kill, but it's mostly based on her items. Her power spike is, oh, I have Desto now, I can kill them.
Makes sense.
Shadow Fiend is like, oh, I have Shadow Blade, I'll kill them. It's not too dependent upon your skills. Your skills just sort of enable you to deliver the things that you want to deliver, right? Your items are what you're actually trying to deliver to them.
It's once again a game of relativity with OD. It's okay, I just got my Shiva's Guard, but I'm dealing with a 6-slotted Luna. That doesn't mean you're good. That doesn't mean you're ready to go. But oh, I just got my Shiva's Guard, great timing, haven't died, I have 3 kills, I have 60 by 10. I had 60 by 10. I have 150 by 20. I'm doing well. Yeah. So once again, game of relativity. And it's kind of just a steady climb to the top with OD. Just kind of feel it out.
I would say so. Once you have some decent items, like you can kind of feel how strong you are. It's not just like, oh, I hit a power spike. Like your power spikes are more general. It's just once I get an item, before they get an item, I am at a spike. Like it's my strength relative to theirs. And OD, that's especially true for if you have a bunch of levels and a bunch of int and they're under leveled, they don't have a bunch of int. And that's when your Sanity's Eclipse is going to do more. Or when your Arcane Orb hitting them several times will actually just drain them out of their mana completely. Yeah, that's the other reason why Sanity's Eclipse is so good. Just like start a fight, Sanity's Eclipse, they're losing mana. Whoever you don't want to have mana, Arcane Orb them a couple times. They're just fucking out. Between an Int Steal and a Sanity's Eclipse, like they're done. They're no more spells.
I never thought of it from that aspect, to be honest with you, with Outworld Devourer. I always thought,
dude, a 40% mana burn. That's huge. Incredible.
Yeah,
how many team fights have you how many team fights do you enter at like 10 minutes into the game where you're like, I don't need full mana.
Yeah.
This is just not necessary for me to have.
Do you lose 40% of what you have or 40% of your overall?
I'm pretty sure it's your overall. I can,
because if it's overall, then that's way good. But if it's good either way. If it's 40% of what you have or 40% of your overall, either are good. Obviously, of your overall would be better. But with OD, I didn't think about some things. Some things that I thought going into playing OD was I thought it would be easy to just constantly Arcane Orb people. I thought that was an easy thing and just get massive amounts of intelligence. It's not. If you think you can go into a game as OD, unless you're like way higher skilled than the people you're playing against, they're pretty wise to the fact that they see this giant orb coming at them and they know that it steals int and does a ton of damage. So
yeah, it's just 40% of their max mana gets burned.
Nice. So yeah, when you go into an OD game, like I'm always under this impression that I'm going to get Arcane Orb and people are just going to stand there and I'm going to steal all this int. But in 4 or 5 hits, you're going to kill somebody. And even max, when Arcane Orb is maxed, you steal 4 int per hit, right?
Yep.
So say I kill somebody in 6 hits. That means I've stolen 24 intelligence and gotten a kill. So like, don't really count on the intelligence steal like you used to on OD. I remember watching a Slasher's Way on offlane OD, and this is old OD when the W used to steal int. And that
really old,
really old. But that was a pretty consistent way of getting a massive amount of stolen intelligence on OD. It's not that way anymore. He's a lot more skirmishy, and definitely I would say like not super dissimilar to a Medusa mid. Because Medusa, you know, kind of needs to just climb from item to item to item to this critical mass, and that is what OD is. Although, when I jump into an OD match, granted I lose all the time, I'm always thinking like, I'm just gonna get a bunch of Arcane Orbs, Sanity Eclipse, done, easy, done. But it doesn't work so easily for me. All right, let's move on to position 3, and let's talk about Underlord. This is a super meta hero. I think it's a super meta hero because it recently got added to Captain's Mode, and highly mobile in a skirmishy meta, right? Can basically throw a bunch of people in his...
It's just strong as fuck.
Yeah, well, let's elaborate on that.
Incredible hero.
Let's elaborate on that.
Okay, all right. Sorry, I was just like killing bots on this OD because OD feels so fucking good.
Yeah, he's fun to play.
All right, OD, or not OD, Underlord. Okay, wait, what is the other option for offlane?
Tidehunter.
Two heroes we're going over.
Tidehunter.
Okay, Okay, yeah. So we'll go over Underlord. Underlord kind of fits this description of a almost all offlaners are tanky. Yeah, just tanky. Like they fulfill the role. I'm gonna get out of this fucking.
Yeah, you got to. I need your full undivided by the nether reaches. I know it's fun. I know
keeps telling me.
I know.
It's like, your tower, it's under attack. I'm like, I don't. That's okay. That's fine. That's okay. But it's really insistent.
So
okay, yeah.
I want to start. I want to say something before you get into this, and that's that. Every time I'm in a pub, I see somebody that says we need tank, and usually there's somebody that's saying no, you don't. And I think we're both right in the fact that it's not a tank necessarily, like you said, and I'm using your words here. It's a frontliner. It's somebody that can absorb damage while everyone else dishes damage, is the way you put it.
That's not to say that your intention is to absorb damage, but your intention is to draw the first wave of spells. And then your team can follow up with like this newfound freedom. And yeah, like almost every team, in a general sense, like if you're listening to this, every team you have needs to have one person that is not going to fall over the first time a fucking Crystal Nova comes out, right? Like you can't just have your entire team go to half health when CM presses Q. That's just not acceptable. Mm-hmm. And that's what your offlaner does for you for the most part. You want an offlane. You need someone who is relatively, just like you need a thick boy, or a thick NE. If you got, I don't know, another thick. I guess like Legion's pretty. Yeah,
Viper. I think of Viper as another like.
She's kind of.
Viper's good at like I'm a mid, but like I'm in your fucking face.
I'm just trying to think of any offlaner who is like not a nice. Fellow.
I would say like Puck or like, but those aren't really
Puck,
offlaners.
Kind of Queen of Pain.
I mean,
they're okay. Puck was meta. Puck is like on and off at a really meta.
Sometimes you hear of Lich offlane. Sometimes you hear of Warlock offlane.
That's more of like a duo thing.
Yeah, I've heard of solo Lich.
Weaver, kind of.
Weaver is.
Well, I'm sure we've heard of it. I'm not going to say it's something that I've ever signed off on.
Exactly.
Except for Core Lich when the patch first came out, and we were like, what if you just took plus 200 or plus 150 damage at level 20? And that's pretty fucking good.
I think you still do. Weaver is definitely not the example of an offlane that you would usually look for. But what he compensates for is he can take the first wave of spells and time lapse. So in a way, he has a similar ability, but he really isn't a frontliner.
I'm going to disagree strongly.
Yeah,
Weaver's not. Yeah, Weaver's not at all.
But he is an offlane.
If he takes the first wave of spells, he dies.
Yeah.
If the first wave of spells just so happens to not be any disable whatsoever, sure, he'll live.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting at. Basically, if he doesn't get Finger of Death,
in general, you need like a tanky offlaner. You can have some offlaners that are like a Mirana or a Weaver, but I'm sure we've all had games where we've had a Mirana or a Weaver offlane and then they just die a lot because, hey, we don't have anyone, we don't have a clockwork to go in. we don't have a Tidehunter to go, and we don't have an Underlord to like, throw a Pit of Malice down and then walk at the enemy team while just striking off their spells. Like, you need someone who does something like that. Are you hitting something?
Sorry, but but I'm done.
You just hitting something?
No, I was poking a hole in my Coke can on air, and I realized that was really, really loud and distracting, and I stopped immediately.
Poking a hole in a Coke can, no big deal.
I was just listening, like, oh yeah, tanky. Ooh, yes. Oh, it's tanky.
Just like his Coke can. Oh my god. Anyway. Okay. Yeah. So that's Underlord kind of. Okay. So we can definitely. I think if you've listened to the show enough, you know that in general you want your offlane to be this tanky ass motherfucker. And now there's a kind of subset to what to the breeds of tanky motherfucker that can't exist in the offlane. There's the big ultimate tanky motherfucker, whether that be a Tidehunter, a less common Magnus, slightly more common Enigma. I've seen once or twice, but that's very rare. But there's not as many of these big ultimate offlaners anymore. It used to be a lot of them. Like Faceless Void is another one, although he's more scaly than he is just only for his ultimate these days. But it's really like Tidehunter and Faceless Void are the main like big ultimate tanky boys that you see in the offlane. And then there's this other breed that was made popular by Axe and then Slardar, and then now Underlord has fairly, I would say, mostly taken up that role as well. And maybe to some degrees, Spirit Breaker a little bit, if you ever do see him play in the offlane. And I don't know who else I would really put into there. Clockwork is kind of an in-between of the two.
Slardar?
I said Slardar and Axe.
Oh, okay. Sorry. But Slardar, he's been taken, I don't know. It's weird. I don't even think of him as an offlaner anymore since playing him as a 4.
Well, yeah, he goes 4 now a lot too. And that's why there's like the off lane is a lot more of a dual lane right now, or it's played a lot more in a dual fashion, which is why there's kind of like a bit of a blurring of the lines between like what can be an off laner and what can be a 4. Oh, as far as other big ultimates, I would probably put Bat Rider in the kind of like big ultimate tab too. Yeah, he's not like a wild strong Ravage. But if we talk about the second breed, the Slardars, the Axes, the Underlords, that's more of a spammable AoE disable kind of route. And that's a reason why I think Legion is notoriously a very weak offlaner when she's just kind of picked out of nowhere, is that she doesn't fill this hole that a team needs in like a casual, what I call a skirmish stun. The difference between what I call like not a Fiend's Grip. Fiend's Grip is not a skirmish stun. You don't just like hop on someone, Fiend's Grip them real quick, and then initiate off that. Like that is done. Like you do the Fiend's Grip, like you're out. You don't got shit. But if you have a Slardar, an Axe, and Underlord, you go in, you call, you drop Pit of Malice. Not exactly a stun, but it's a disable. It's a skirmish disable, whatever. And then you walk away, and then you re-engage several seconds later. Pit of Malice was a bit more committal, 20-second cooldown as opposed to. What is Crush? Like fucking 2 seconds or something? That shit is up 24/7.
I think it's like
it is 8 seconds.
Yeah, 8 seconds. It feels like it's always
8. And I think Call is like 12, maybe 13. No, okay. So Berserker's Call goes from 16 to 10. That's the Axe Taunt, which is AOE around him. Same thing. Oh yeah, Centaur is the other skirmish you disable. Although Centaur is not quite as often seen as these other heroes. But he's seen pretty decently now. Nyx also Impale, another skirmishy stun.
Okay.
Yeah, so if you see like a lot of these more meta offlaners. What did you say?
I said common themes. Something that
common themes
is cool to, you just don't really notice it that often, I guess, until it's brought to your attention.
Yeah, when Earthshaker was offlane, Fissure and Chant Totem, both casual skirmishy AoE stuns. He does have that big Echo Slam, which is why he was also good when you just had AoE team fight offlaners like Tidehunter. Earthshaker was also up on there.
Yeah.
Sand King, another hero, fantastic tanky hero with an AoE stun and a lot of AoE damage in them. So when you have one of these heroes like a Weaver or a Mirana, you don't have that big AoE disable, right? Like you don't. And Mirana does supply some AoE damage, but it's not the same presence of like Blink Burrow Strike or Blink Epicenter Burrow Strike. Like that's not the same as a Mirana shooting an arrow. It's just like one fucking is cataclysmic and destroys your world and radically shifts the momentum of a fight. The other one, knocks a couple bars off your health, whatever.
And is annoying, and you usually can pick up from it and walk away. Yeah.
And then you just kill them. Mm-hmm. And so that's what kind of offlaner an Underlord is. Or Underlord's a bit more skirmishy than a Sand King, of course, but they're this general breed of offlaner where they have an initiation of sorts, but mostly just they have this sort of casual stun that can start off an encounter with. And as soon as they drop that off, then they are engaged in the fight. They try to tank a wave of spells, and then they want to get everyone's health below the threshold where your single target damage dealers, or just whatever damage dealers that are squishier or need a bit more setup, or expect to be able to follow through, need more time to get off their whole kit. You want to get the enemy to throw below a certain threshold that your like assassins or whatever the fuck you have on your team can actually finish the kill off. So like what a good team fight would look like is either Underlord might not be the perfect example of something like a Slardar or an Axe or a Sand King with like the blink in, disable, and then the follow up. But he is pretty good, and Pit of Malice does last a very long time, and Underlord is very meta. So like what you would want a fight to look like is you hit whatever levels to have like your Pit of Malice in some points in Firestorm, and you catch someone, you pit under them, and then you Firestorm, and then you walk up on there, maybe someone like blinks in and stuns you back, and then as soon as they've been sitting in your Firestorm for a few seconds, Sven like blinks in, Stormhammer, ulti, and then fucking does 2 right clicks, and it like kills them all because they were at 3/4 health instead of full. Whereas if they were at full health, they would survive the Stormhammer and then retaliate with a Shallow Grave or a fucking like vacuum wall or something like that. So that's like the main role of your Darkseer is the other big AoE team fighter that I was forgetting.
Yes.
Yeah. So the main role of this offlaner is you want to be able to catch them out, do enough damage that gets them below a survivable threshold for the rest of your team's follow-up damage, and then you kill them. And that's a hero that's like on a lot of teams. You have Axe with like the blink call, and then your team follows up with damage, and then they get them, and then you like fucking dunk them, and then you just take that momentum into a bunch of different kills around the fight. Slardar, blink, crush, amplify damage, enables your follow-up to go for the kill, and then Slardar walks out, blinks, crushes, and again. Sand King, blink, burrow strike, Sandstorm is way out, and then your team follows up with the kill, and then he epicenters in the back and re-initiates or whatever, or just starts it out with the thing, whatever. But the main general theme here is you need one item to be able to get into the distance, or close the distance, I guess, and enough skill points in your damage spells for you to be able to drop the enemy before the certain threshold. Like those are the kind of the 3 little checkboxes you need. And each hero deals with it slightly differently. Underlord is never really going to get a blink, but he is going to get an item that makes him a bit tankier, whether that be Mechanism. My personal favorite right now, Hummel the Dom into Mechanism. What I really like, the Dom is slightly similar to like how a Slardar will work pre-blink. Slardar is just going to Guardian Sprint, aka Sprint, and run up to a motherfucker and then press W. The way I work with my my Underlord right now is I dominate a Purge Satyr or a Centaur moving at 420 fucking move speed or whatever, and I run up to them and then I do whatever disable or purge, and then I Pit of Malice and Firestorm on top, and then my team can follow up because the Firestorm is going to do a shit ton of damage.
That's at least another second of Firestorm too. That's good.
Yeah, it's solid. Or you get a Pit of Malice and then purge them afterwards, and they're stuck in. Like it's super super good. And then Slardar just like walks up to them. Once he gets a blink, of course, he can just blink up. But then the balancing act there for Underlord strat is, of course, he just kind of runs at people. But he can just get that mech, and then he's tanky enough to just run to them without dying. Slardar probably just dies if he runs at you and you just walk away. But Underlord is a fairly commanding presence, and his Pit of Malice has a nice range to it, so he's not quite as dependent upon the blink. So between whatever heroes you go, you need whatever item allows you to get in range of your disable, and that's normally a blink dagger. Underlord, of course, the exception because his is range, and that's your real power spike. Honestly, like that's the main one you need to focus on is when you can connect with the opponents and actually get your initial kit of spells out. Eventually, if you're behind, you may hit a point where the enemy's damage outscales you massively. This often happens on a hero like Clockwork. Like if Clockwork is Clockwork's goal is to hook shot you, get up in your shit, and make you like scared and try to right click out of his cogs and run away while he like, you know, slowly kills you. However, if you're just fucking strong, like if I'm playing Sven and Clockwork hooks in on me and pops his blade mail, I just like press E and I have infinite armor and I don't care about the blade mail and I just right click him twice and he dies. That's something like whenever Clockwork hooks in an Ursa and then Ursa's like, I'm not trapped in here with you. You're trapped in here with me. And then you just kill him. Like that's the doomsday scenario as Clockwork. So if you do get outscaled like that, that's when you need the kind of like escape plan, like the force staff, you know, the blink in, disable, force staff your shit out. That's like whenever Clockwork's against Ursa, you fucking like hook shot him, drop them cogs, and then get the fuck out of there.
Okay, so let's talk power spikes. What am I seeing with Underlord?
Okay.
Let's talk items that I'm leaving with. Denny mentioned that he's like, I'd never buy a Quell on him. That's one thing I want to get out of the way real quick before we talk about power spikes. Is Quell necessary with going Atrophy Aura level 1? Because I mean, I don't think so either. I think he was justified in saying no Quell.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think Quell is. I mean, Quell is definitely a good item. Iron Talon is great, but for the express purpose of off laning and like in like just trying to, if it's a winnable off lane, Quell is absolutely not required. You do need a Quell at some point if you need to start jungling, especially like, I mean, for an Iron Talon. Iron Talon is also fantastic on these offlaners because it gives them armor. And, you know, if you're going like straight Blinker or whatever, you probably don't have a lot of armor. You may have Tranquils, but that's probably about it. Especially, I mean, Underlord, I mean, he'll get armor from the mech, but it's really nice for that like early laning phase, like a Stout Shield and an Iron Talon. Like that's a pretty solid amount of defense you got going there. But for, I don't know, when I play Underlord offlane, I just go Poor Man's Shield. So there's no room for a blade there.
TMS Tango as well, and just kind of, it usually goes well.
Just walk at them.
Walk at them, or
That's
if I can't
stuff.
walk at them, stand next to them and be like, "Hey, how's it going?" And it's like, fuck you, get out of here.
Damage. Okay, yeah, that's valid. Okay, so one of the first power spikes with Underlord is just your level 1 Atrophy Aura plus Poor Man's Shield. Of course, this isn't correct for all laning situations. Like if you're against a Skywrath Mage and a Luna and a Venge or something, they're probably not going to care too much. Like Luna presses E or skills her E or whatever, and then you got like these arcane things flying at you, and they're all doing more damage than your Poor Man's Shield, and they don't care about the Atrophy Aura. That's probably not a good situation for you. That you're probably better off just like getting an Iron Talon and jungling at that point. So you kind of need to read the game a little bit. But if you do have a contestable lane, Poor Man's Shield plus Tango and Atrophy Aura, it's another game of thresholds there. The amount of damage that's always absorbed by Poor Man's Shield is like 20, and then Atrophy Aura is going to cut down 10% of their damage, so about probably 5 on most heroes. So people are at most right-clicking you for 25, and then that's reduced by armor. I'm not sure how much Underlord starts with base, but he has at least 1, right? Because Poor Man's Shield is 6 fucking agi. It better be at least 1 armor. Actually, I'm gonna see this shit right now. How much armor you got, boy? He's got 3 base. Holy shit, who made this hero? What the fuck? Yeah, so if you got Poor Man's Shield, you got like 4 fucking armor. That's wild. Holy shit, yeah, 4 armor, and that's what kind of percentage damage reduction is that? 21. Yeah, so that's pretty solid. Holy shit.
Yeah, he's strong.
Yes,
I mean, he is literally.
Yeah, so you take like 20 damage from a 50. If you have a 50 damage here, you're going to take 20 damage from their right clicks. And then, of course, you hit for like fucking 60 or some shit. And then every time a creep dies around you, gain another 5. Yeah, so that's Underlord's first power spike is when they hit you for 20 fucking damage and you hit them for 60. Of course, you can get out at that. That will eventually subside. 20 damage block is going to get less and less important as the game goes on. So you need to kind of like scale with that a little bit. Your next power spike is probably once you have level 3. That's when you have 1 Atrophy, 1 Pit, and 1 Firestorm. And that's a point where you can kind of go for a kill or some damage or something like that. But the real power spikes come when you hit 4 and then 5, when you have 2 and 3 points in Firestorm. Firestorm is your main damage spell, similar to how we were talking about with the mid laner. But the fact is that Pit of Malice and Atrophy Aura are really important, so you need them at 1 and 2. And then there's no way you have your Firestorm at like the 2-point kind of like timing at level 3, unless you just didn't take Atrophy Aura. And then at level 4, it'll be a fresh point in Firestorm, sure, but you're fighting people, or rather, you could have had that at level 3, and then it would have been like strong. Once you get it at 5, then you're hitting like an on-time 3rd point skill, and that's when you're definitely like your damage is certainly up there.
Yeah. And yeah.
Sorry, my mouth is tired.
No, I know. And you've definitely, I've just been kind of sitting here like thinking like, okay, well, am I doing that? Because, you know, like I say all the time, it's hard to process, but yeah, basically,
Yeah. And it's,
I find it similar to like your ideas on Tidehunter, and other heroes like that. They're like, okay, I've got like level 7's a good time to start rotating maybe out and taking down towers with my team.
well, I got a lot to say about rotating on, you know, the big ulti heroes like Clockwork and Tide.
Yeah, and Tidehunter.
Like, yeah. Anyway,
Tidehunter is the next hero we'll talk about. But yeah, like being able to, you're just able to make things happen for your team, and so going offlane for laning phase makes a lot of sense for Underlord in my opinion, but staying offlane forever doesn't make any sense for Underlord because you don't have enough.
Yeah.
It's kind of like what you're talking about way earlier in the episode where I can't kill somebody with Pit and Rain of Fire. I can certainly do a lot of damage to them, and I can certainly build up a lot of atrophy aura, but I can't kill anybody.
You won't be able to cinch the deal unless they just horrifically misplay, in which case, like, you know, it's never worth really considering what if they horrifically misplay and just die to me for no reason, because like that'll happen with any course you take.
Exactly.
That's a possibility with any course you take. You might as well take the course that has the least, you know, is relying the least upon that fact.
Exactly.
Okay. So, all right. So his minor strong points are when he hits, or minor rather, like level 1, level 3, and level 5. Same as most other heroes, but they're for different reasons. So when you get your full kit and all that stuff. Unlike most offlaners or most heroes in general, he doesn't really hit a power spike when he's 6. Dark Rift is not going to like win you a fight unless you use it in tandem with your team in like an interesting, well communicated way. It's not like, you know, it's no epicenter, right? There's no damage attached to this spell.
I lost the game for my team with Dark Rift.
Yeah,
I thought they were roshing, and we were in a situation where we only had one melee racks left, and I was like, I Dark Rift to the mid creep wave that's going up, and yell at everybody to come to me. 3 people come to me, and 1 person stays, and the 1 person that stayed is just saying, "You idiot! I timed it. Rosh isn't even up. Rosh isn't even up. We Dark Rift in, and they jump us, and 4 out of 5 of us die, and then they win." That was literally the last ranked game that I played. I called my whole team in, so like basically I intentionally fed my team. It wasn't unintentionally fed my team. And yeah, it was really embarrassing. And the sniper was like, "You're a fucking idiot, reported, blah." And I was like, honestly, I deserve it. Yeah. Like I deserve it.
Yeah, it's reportable.
Yeah, like I deserve it. I should have timed Roche. Like, my bad.
Yeah. So Underlord, there's definitely the timing, like when you get a fresh point in Firestorm, or at least an on curve point. I would say on curve is like, you know, when you get 2 points at 3, 3 points at 5, 4 points at 7. That's an on curve. And on curve for your ultimate is ult at 6, ult at 12, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But these aren't really hard power specs for Underlord. Most of his power specs come with his ultimate that enables him to do what he wants to do, right? Mana boots for getting your spells, yeah, that's okay. But the main one is once you get either the Helm of the Dominator or the Mech, because those are what enable your kills. Whether you have a nice creep to help you, whether it be a Purge or the stun, or even just like the clap from a Centaur, or a Satyr to like heal or keep everyone's health up and add another nuke to get everyone to that kill threshold. That's where you want to aim at. And then you just kind of take it to pushing. Like if you're tanky and you have a bunch of health, like some auras and some health regen, that's when you just like start pushing. Like you have 2 AoE spells. Atrophy Aura is AoE. I just want to play Underlord right now.
Yeah, me too.
And it's like good. It's good shit. So that's your kind of your power spike. Because once you've got a solid base of items and you can do shit with your team, that's when you're strong. As soon as you are empowering the group, or as soon as you are like an asset to a group, that's when you start grouping up. And the same is true for Slardar when he gets a blink, Sand King when he gets a blink, sort of Legion when she gets a blink. Although Legion's such a bad offlaner that I regret mentioning it. So it's not just to say like, oh, once an offlaner gets blink, you do well. It's when an offlaner has the ability to deliver their kit in full. And for Underlord, that's less reliant on his blink and more reliant on his ability to buff his allies with the aura and how tanky he is. So that's mostly dependent somewhat upon your levels, but mostly just upon your items. The aura of Dom to help people out, or if you don't want to go Dom, just once you get your mech and that sort of thing, or even just once you have a buckler. Buckler is pretty solid. Someone on your team has Bassi and you have a buckler. That's like 4 armor for everyone. By the way, if you have a buckler, it has 100% uptime if you just keep hitting it. It only costs 25 mana. Yeah, you have like hella armor. Yeah, it's really good. And then like, you know, your headdress or whatever, just like good stuff. Once you have items that give you a nice aura and you have 4 points in Firestorm and a point in Pit of Malice, atrophy aura, you know, whatever, it doesn't matter how much you have at that point. But that's your power spike. And it basically never subsides. You just kind of keep going. You just keep hitting your item timings and you like go. As long as you have auras that are helping your team, like you're on your power spike as Underlord. For the most part, it's the same thing. Although, I mean, it will subside. Like if you lose fights and you are no longer very tanky, walking at the opponents is no longer going to enable you to deliver your kit. Walking at your opponents is just going to get you killed. And that's when your power spike just kind of goes away. And it doesn't come back until you're tanky again. So you just accept your power spike ends, and then you just try to use your spells as like intelligently as possible.
Yep.
And fairly similarly for Slardar and Axe. And the only difference I would say is maybe Sand King also has power spike just when he hits 6 and has blink, or on any fresh level of epicenter. But for the most part, it's just, you know, once you have blink and your spells, that's it. You fucking peaked. You're good. Laning wise, they're all fairly similar. You have power spikes at 3, 5, 6, and 7. Axe specifically also has a power spike once he gets the blade mail. That's when, like, you know, his call turns from some casual damage and disable into huge amounts of damage on their enemy carry and disable.
Like kills.
And
yeah,
and then Slardar, as far as his kill, it's like it's not so much like he puts them within kill range with like a blink stun. It's that he does his blink stun and then amps damage, and then they're in kill range from your sniper or PA or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so let's go ahead and, I mean, on this episode, I'm fine with it. We're going long, but it's for a good reason. Let's go ahead and cover Tidehunter. Let's
the
cover.
only difference between Tide and the rest of them is once you have a big ultimate, that is your power spike. As soon as you hit 6, that is your spike. That is your biggest spike. That is the only reason you're a hero, is this current spike as soon as you have your ultimate. And what you need to do with that is use it to its fullest immediately. You immediately, as soon as you hit 6, you are looking for that 3-man Ravage, or you're just looking to take an objective off of it. That's why on Tidehunter, if you are ever playing Tidehunter with me, or if you're ever playing Clockwork or whatever, I don't give a shit. As soon as I see that green fucking diamond on your icon, and I see you sitting mid or sitting off lane with like half health and a quarter mana, I'll just yell at you. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing with your life? Like, are you just going to exist with Ravage up and just have your thumb up your ass? Like, Ravage could happen right now. You could be stunning 4 people, but instead you are deciding to sit under a tower and gain like 20 XP every minute. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Go Shrine, go TP to Fountain, go get 5 Clarities, a Salve, and a Windlace brought to you. I do not give a fuck. Get the fuck out of your goddamn lane and come to mine and like smoke up, or just TP, walk behind the enemy tower, and take a fucking objective, you goddamn idiots.
All right, some pen up rage real quick. So power spikes for Tide would be level 6, level, and then
that's it.
And then refresher.
I don't care.
Level 6 and
Doesn't
refresher.
matter. Yeah, level 6.
Blink. Level 6 blink refresher.
Every level 6, and then 160 seconds after that on the dot, scaled by 10 seconds each time. Because if Ravage is up, you should have used it.
But don't just
if you hit 6, you have 10 seconds
don't just
to
blood
find your
away
fucking Ravage
either.
before I yell at you. I don't care. If you haven't found it yet, I'll be like, what are you fucking doing?
I can tell you're upset. Do not use it if you're gonna die. This is what pisses me off the most when I play with Tidehunters is they're running. Oh god, I'm dead. Ravage, and I'm dead. And now the whole team has to wait almost 3 minutes before we have that opportunity again.
That's just like the asphyxiation orgasm.
You can let your hand touch the ult button, but just don't click it. You know,
You can stroke it,
yeah,
but
you can,
don't-
just don't go all the way with the button. Just feel it.
Yeah.
Know that you have the power to do it. Don't do it though. Make sure you have follow up.
Yeah,
This
just
is one
engage in
thing.
some light petting like they taught us in 5th grade.
Just make sure that there are people around you when you do it. Like, don't listen to Proud Foley and that, like, I just got ravage, and it's like, no, you need
You
to
have
have
10 seconds to find a ravage.
Yeah, 10
Not to use it. You have 10 seconds to find it.
10
and then if you
seconds.
don't,
A TP
I'm just
takes
gonna
10
yell at you
seconds.
until you do find it. Yeah, and
basically,
I mean, I won't actually, but I'm just saying, I've
it's
been
pretty
in
scary.
games. As soon like, just the main thing that I ever like whenever I'm on it, because like, okay, so this happened once in hand practice, and I was used to playing with my my UCSC team, my college team, when I was doing that, and like I just kept giving this guy a Tide or a Clockwork, and he knew, like, every time he was 6, like, you know, I gave him the talk, and I was like, buddy, like, when you come of age, you need to leave the womb and you need to kill humans. And he was like, okay, I understand now. And that's just what we did. And then I was playing a ham game, and then it was like 8 minutes, and I was like losing safe lane, and I was like, Tide, you're level 8. Your Ravage is off cooldown. You are level 8. What are you doing? What are you doing?
Yeah.
And then
We've heard this story, actually.
and then-
We have actually heard this story.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure I tell it every day.
You
But,
did
and
tell it off.
then we figured out, and we were like, you know what? That'll never happen again. So yeah, when you have a big ultimate, it is your moral obligation as an ult bearer to fucking use it.
And use it in a good way. I don't know. You're crossing some wires
Here's
here.
okay, so you look at your hero, you say, what is my hero capable of? If I see a Luna and I'm like, yo, Luna, she's capable of like scaling into the late game. You know what I do? I buy items as scale in the late game. That's what I do. I don't buy wards. That's not what I do. If I see Ravage and I'm like, this ability can stun like 8 people and then make them like lose a team fight immediately. You know what I'm not going to do? I'm not going to like Ravage a support, because a support is not 8 people and does not win the game. It is like top, like, what if I Ravage by myself top lane? It's not going to kill 8 people and win the game. If I hang out with my team and I like look for, if we push a tower and then they TP to defend it and then I Ravage it, like, that's a good use of your big ultimate. Like Clockwork, you don't hook shot alone. You like walk somewhere and then hook shot someone and then like, whoop, it's fucking game. You just got them. They got. And then it's over. And like with Nyx, I don't vendetta and then like look to like get the carry to half health and then be like, whoops, guys, I didn't get the kill. What do you know? Like, I vendetta and I find a motherfucker. And as soon as I like, Dota's like a game of balance, and you need to get the enemy team on tilt, both mentally and in game. And by tilt, I mean like, whoa, how do we go? Like, you need to, I don't know. This is like when you're fighting, if you're doing martial arts or whatever, like, you want to keep them off balance. You want to like hit them from like fucking side to side and not let them find their center. And that's what happens when you rotate. Like, think of the fucking the map as like a kind of like a target dummy. Like, you know those like in medieval times or whatever, like one's holding a sword or like has like this like dummy.
Yeah.
It's like made out of wood, and there's like one wood arm has like a sword and the other one has a shield. You know what you don't do? You don't like punch it in the chest. That doesn't make it spin around and do wild shit. Don't punch it. You fucking hit it like on its arms. That you fucking like, you know, hit the shield and it'll like spin, and then you fucking hit it in the back. Like, that's how you fucking do it. You gotta like hit them on the sides and make them like go off balance. You're like, whoa, we can't deal with all these rotations. And then you just fucking like you get it. You just viper your shit in there and just you get them.
I think this is the most eccentric Proud we've ever had, and I'm loving it, dude.
You get them off. You got to get them off balance, and using your AOE ultimate in the lane you are already existing in will not surprise anyone, except to say, "Wow, this person's really fucking stupid."
Okay, all right. So that will surmise position 3. I believe I'm using correct terminology there. Surmise, right?
Yeah, sure. Turn it into summer.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's what I thought it meant. Okay, and we are going to turn it into summer when we talk about my grandma's calling me at 10 p.m. I feel like that's like a situation that I should answer. Hold on.
Yeah,
I'm
let's
gonna
do that.
this. Hi, Grandma.
Hey, hi, Josh.
Is this an emergency?
No, but I was hoping it wasn't calling too late.
Can I call you back in just a little bit? How long are you going to be up?
Okay. I'll probably be up for another half hour.
Okay, I'll call you.
All right, thanks, Josh. Bye-bye.
Okay, love you, bye. Okay, your grandma calls you at 10 p.m.
She
You're going to
sounds
answer.
very nice.
Yeah, she is very nice. But,
Yeah.
like, what the hell? Like, I'm thinking, like, somebody died. Okay.
Yeah, otherwise I would have been like, no, do not. She probably has her ult up right now, and she's calling you instead of using it. She should have rotated.
Let's take a quick break, and then we'll get into position 4, actually. Okay?
Okay.
Let's take a quick break. I'm going
I'll
to
get
call
you
my
into
grandmother
position
back.
4.
I prefer position 1 or 5, as you know. But sometimes I'll play position 4, only on Sundays. Only on Sundays.
When the Lord wills it.
And I'm getting word that we have not
it,
read Shrek
please.
2 on DVD's review, by the way. But maybe we'll come back and do that. I will be right back. We'll be right back. We'll be right back. We'll talk about position 4. It makes a clean cut here. I'm letting people, seeing as this is such a meaty ass episode, that if they just want to hear a specific position, they can just go to that specific position or hero.
I don't play the
And we'll be
damn-
right back.
Got to keep on.
I don't play the damn thing.
Okay, sorry. Had to call my grandma back, as you guys heard.
I don't play the damn.
Everything's fine. She just wanted to know if I wanted to get on a plane and go to Mesquite tomorrow, because it is wonderful down there. And Mesquite, Nevada. And she's like, you could go golfing. I was like, Grandma, I don't golf. She's like, well, it's really nice weather, and you could just put the baby, on the plane. And I was like, we don't even take the baby to the grocery store because of rotavirus. Anyway, I just got an invitation to go to Mesquite. I think she'd been drinking. I mean, this lady, she's incredible. She's incredible. I really like her a lot. As you heard, she's a nice lady. I don't know. She called me and invited us to Mesquite. And she's like, oh no, we'll get your plane tickets. You guys should come down here. It's like, no, thanks, Grandma, but no. Anyway.
Yeah. Fuck off, Grandma. I don't want to go to Mesquite.
Yeah, I mean, it was just like, you get a call from your grandma at 10 p.m. I don't know, she's probably having some drinks, like, we should probably see that baby. Let's invite them to come down to Mesquite with us. She lives here, too. She just, like, goes around. I don't know. Anyway. Position 4. Slardar is the first point. This is a hero that I did not think was a position 4. I'd always seen him in offlane. The majority of the games I've played in Dota 2 have been from 1500 to 2500 MMR. Slardar was an offlane. That's what he did. Done. He was an offlane. Slark would purge his amp damage, and that's bullshit. And that is my whole summary of Slardar. He gets a blink dagger, he stuns, and Slark purges his ult. Period. That's it. Until ham practice, where you guys were playing 4-position Slardar, and it was really cool. And I was like, that makes a ton of sense. What a great roamer. He literally has a free spell that makes him go fast. And now, even better
he's really
with
good at getting
phase.
around.
Yeah, so Slardar 4-position. Let's hear what you have to say.
As in his Q gives you phase movement, not that you get phase boost on the hero.
Yeah.
Yeah, Slardar sprint lets you move through
Yeah,
units.
but that's a fair. That's
phase
actually
boost, but
like
no.
maybe old, but still feels new. The fact that he can phase.
It was a huge buff, honestly.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Crazy good.
Sorry to break the mojo there, but yeah, no, Slardar roaming. I look at him a lot like I don't know, kind of not super dislike Bounty Hunter in a way, where Bounty kind of like waits in the shadows and then applies something that helps your team. Well, it doesn't really help. Well, it helps your team with gold, but
Yeah.
okay, you go ahead, because I'm definitely not doing this. I still don't fully understand the Slardar position 4. I just let you boss me around, and it seems to work out pretty well.
Yeah. So first we're going to talk about what a position 4 does. So there's been a pretty solid coalescence the point is coalesced about what the differences between a 4 and a 5 are. It used to just be like, well, you have 2 supports, and like one of them probably wants farm. But that's changed up a lot now that the game is, as we've said, a lot less tri-lane focused. and there's a lot more of like a lane support and then a ganking support, or a lane support and then a like initiating, or a support that makes shit happen around the map, a roamer. It's kind of opened up for a lot more of these for just like some other options in terms of what your 4 position can be. And we've mostly decided that the heroes that can really contribute to ganks early on and also through the like mid late game and have a bit of scaling like are our new 4s. And Slardar definitely fits in there. Other notable 4s are like Earth Spirit, sometimes Sand King. People have even run Axe as a 4 several times. I think Jakira's not too bad for it. Ogre Magi,
Night Stalker,
Silencer, Night Stalker certainly, Spirit Breaker another amazing one. Sand King's pretty solid for it. Treant Protector probably.
Pudge,
Tusk, Pudge. Yeah, Pudge we're gonna get into. That sort of thing. So there are some 4s like and then maybe sometimes like a Vengeful Spirit or something. Some 4s like Ogre that aren't necessarily like they're not gonna like blink stun or anything like that. But as far as the laning phase is concerned, they're like fairly tanky people. They're gonna walk up into some shit and they're gonna they can at least enable a kill with some sort of disable. Ogre Magi slows you and then walks up and stuns you. Slardar speeds himself up rather than slowing you, just makes himself go fast. Then he walks up and stuns you, and then it applies a brief slow afterwards and that sort of thing. And they're tanky. They kind of in that how we said you want someone on your team that's tanky to kind of tank an initial wave of spells, or at least tank 1 or 2 spells, just so that your enemy or the other people on your team are not going to hit below that threshold of damage that puts them within kill range, where the enemy team can overextend and then go for the kill and not get punished because you're fucking dead. And Slardar and Ogre Magi and these kind of tankier supports are really, really good for that. It allows you to have someone that can shrug off a simple spell, like a Scream of Pain or something, and then still be alive afterwards. Whereas if you have a something like a Rubik or a Shadow Demon like solo ganking, and there's any response at all, like one AoE spell that hits, let's say you're ganking mid, and their Queen of Pain uses Scream of Pain, and it hits your Shadow Demon and your Invoker or something. The Shadow Demon is one Rubik TP Fade Bolt away from death at that point. Whereas if you have someone like an Ogre or a Slardar doing this, they'll survive that. They just have more health. So a slightly tankier hero is better for these kind of like more skirmishy ganks where the enemy team is prepared for it. And that's good. It's good to not be dead. That's like a good thing. So what all these 4s have is they have some ability to gap close, separate from a Blink Dagger, or some ability to like scale in a different way in Silencer. But for the Slardar, similar supports, whether that be Spirit Breaker or Night Stalker, Earth Spirit, all those heroes have some ability to get all up in someone's shit.
Yeah, they whether they're phasing toward them, rolling toward them, knighting toward them, knighting as in the night timing toward them. They have
walking fast as shit.
Yeah, they just have a way to I'm here, physical damage because I'm a fish.
Damahe. Some kind of gap closer.
I feel like it's kind of magical. It's under the sea. You know what I mean? That whole movie was magical for me. So why Slardar's W isn't magical? Who knows? Because a lot of other things are magical. So Slardar in the form of power peaks, I would say, in my opinion, and then I'll let you go ahead and fill in the gaps on this, is basically level 6 and Blink Dagger, right? Like, I'm
going to say level 2 and level 4 are the initial peaks that I talk about in terms of being a support, right? Because the bulk of being a good support is getting off to a good start, right? Like if I have a roamer that doesn't do anything until he's level 6, I'm like, well, what the fuck? Like, why aren't you an offlane? And Slardar is like a Slardar with a windlace. Like if an enemy mid is going boots or is going bottle, they have to get bottle and then boots to be able to like outpace a Slardar at all, right? Because they're gonna have like maybe 300 move speed on average. That's just kind of where most heroes sit. He doesn't have boots, and let's say I'm this Slardar character and I have 1 point sprint, 1 point crush, and then I buy a what's this windlace item here? All right, so I have 310 move speed, and then I press Q. Whoops, and I'm at like 360 move speed. Or 390 rather, and that's just like a windlace, and I'm at 390. That's like better than most heroes after their like travels.
Yeah.
Like Luna is at 380 move speed when she has like a fucking Yasha in boots, right? So as soon as I hit 2, I can deliver my fucking crush to someone. So that's like Slardar's first strength, is when you can get up to a motherfucker and stun them. The second one is once you get your second point in crush, and then your second point in sprint, because you're even faster. And it's just kind of a pretty linear curve there, like. You get 3. I mean, even 3 is good. Like 1 point sprint, 2 point crush, and then once you get your boots, also that's a big one. Tranquils even also gives you even more move speed before you're hit. Like you're fast as shit. Like if you just have windlace, tranquils, and then 2 points in guardian sprint, and you press it, you're at 505 move speed. That's a shit ton of move speed, buddy. That's you don't have a blink dagger yet, but you're a support with 505 move speed and an AoE stun around your body. Like that's pretty fucking good.
Yeah, no.
And then
where'd you get the idea for? Because I know you were captaining it. I know you picked it. Where did you first see Slardar 4?
Flub was actually the first person who played it, but it didn't work very well. It was like okay. We like won a game and lost a game with it, but it was just kind of whatever. And then I mean the pros used it a shit ton, and then we just kind of picked up like Slardar is so good, and you can really lane anything anywhere. If you really want to, as far as, or you can really like lane anything. Okay, so like what Slardar does is he puts his spells on you and then he runs away. You do not need a lot of farm to use your spells and then run away. Really, all he needs is the blink to get up all up on you, and then maybe a force staff to get away, and then he just kind of scales after that. Like you just exist. You're fine. It's not like Axe where Axe needs to get to you to Berserker's Call, but then he also needs to not immediately die. Slardar has no interest in surviving. Slardar will stun you and walk the fuck away. He doesn't even need to do damage himself. He just applies Corrosive Haze and someone else does the damage. So it's like kind of any hero that doesn't require farm to accomplish their goals. And if you do need farm and it's just like a Blink Dagger, like that's okay. Sand King needs a Blink Dagger. I mean, he can support all right. But just Corrosive Haste is just such a fucking like good skill, or rather amp damage as it should be called. And just I don't know, just the fact that he has a gap closer pre-ultimate is a huge deal. Like Spirit Breaker has Spirit Breaker charge, and Slardar has sprint, which is basically Spirit Breaker charge move speed. Once you have like tranquils,
but you have control. You're not just like enraged, like I'm gonna fucking get him. Like like I have to yell at my dog all the time because he'll just like see something and like I'm just gonna run. I'm not gonna do anything or say anything. I'm just gonna start running toward the road, and you're just gonna have to yell like at least 7 times before I'll even hear you. A lot like Spirit Breaker.
Well, that is roughly the cooldown of Slithering Crush, so that does make sense. Slithering Crush is an 8-second cooldown.
So
and also his stun is super spammable. Yeah.
Oh, I was just gonna summarize. So position 4 Slardar, power peak more along the lines of you want him to progress your other heroes. So his power peak is going to be earlier in the game, and then the Blink Dagger will bring him back into relevancy later in the game.
His main big spike is when he gets Blink Dagger. Yes, Corrosive Haze is good, but what's going to decide your kills for the most, like as far as getting a kill or the initiation, like as far as rather finding a kill on the map, the bigger deal is getting to them to get the Slithering Crush out so that your team that doesn't have their own Guardian Sprint can actually catch up to you and land their disables. And then, of course, once you get the Corrosive Haze, it's helps you secure the kill and keeps vision while you're killing them and all that shit. But the main thing that you need to focus on is just like getting your fucking windlace, getting your boots, all that, and getting up to these motherfuckers with Guardian Sprint, which you went 2 points in at 4, and then like getting your crush out. I've even seen some people have like 1 point crush and 2 point Guardian Sprint at 3, and they like just emphasize sprint, which is not too bad. But I'm a max crush kind of guy.
Okay, so the other type of position 4, I would call a displacer, maybe, or something along those lines.
Yeah, I mean,
Pudge.
there's a lot of kinds of 4s, whether it be like, let's see,
Like
a
a
hero
warlock
like, I don't know,
4?
Silencer, I think is a fine 4, Enigma, Shen, like there's a bunch of 4s, right? But I did want to talk about Pudge specifically just because he's one of the most popular heroes in like ever. And Pudge is much more of the opportunist roamer than he is the like, create opportunities.
Yeah.
Pudge, yeah, I mean, you play Pudge, you'd probably be about as well, talking about this as I would, but for the most part, like the strength with Pudge is, of course, when you're level 1 with a Windlace and Rot, just finding someone and running them down. But once you start getting once you're maybe level, I would say your first, yeah, I guess your power spikes at 1, 2 when you have Hook and Rot, 3 when you have level 2 Hook for the distance, 4 not really, and then 5 with your level 3 Hook, and then 6 and 7. Those are definitely all power spikes. And
You're just getting stronger until levels. It's honestly like a pretty steep climb to 6, and then once you get 6, you're like you're pretty good for
6,
like
7,
ever.
once you get your Aether Lens and Blink, it's and then you're always like every hook is a kill.
Yeah, it feels like
what's going on.
Yeah, your power spike is every time you land a hook and can follow it up with a dismember, which is another thing that using Prouds load into your RAM type thing. If you just shift command the person that you're trying to hook and dismember them, you can get an instant dismember so that they can't, like, if you hook a Slardar, oftentimes he's just going to be mashing W and he'll stun you much quicker than you can dismember him. You can avoid that pretty easily. I would just go in and practice it in like demo mode, just like hook one of those axes in demo mode and just as you're hooking them, hurry and shift command your ult, being dismember. Yeah, Pudge, I do agree with you. He's definitely very opportunistic. I love buying wards on position 4 Pudge because that means I get to place them.
What I want to say is your power spike is, yes, all these skills or whatever, but your main power spike is honestly once you have good wards out.
Yeah.
Like vision is this hero's power spike. Once if you have a smoke and a ward on yourself, like that's your power spike. It's not exactly item dependent. It's not exactly level dependent. It's more like vision dependent and kind of with your own team's ability to like group up with you and that sort of thing. But yeah, definitely once you have a bunch of vision out as Pudge, that's when you're strongest, and that's when you want to like, all right, we have vision out. Let's let's accomplish things. Yeah.
And then honestly, as far as everything else goes on Pudge, I mean, it really comes down to practice. And I would say the biggest thing about Pudge and what we didn't see come out of me today when I played Pudge in our team stream was proper positioning. Make sure that you're not like, oh, I can get this hook. Like, I think of the classic hostage situation where somebody's got the guy and they're holding him gunpoint, and then you're pointing a gun at the guy who's holding the guy with a gun, or the person, whoever is being held by a gun.
All right, yeah, I got it.
And I'm like, drop him or I'll shoot. And they're like, if you shoot, I'll shoot them. And then you have that situation where don't put yourself in that situation, basically. Make sure that you're behind the guy, or the person, rather, who is holding the hostage, so that you can just easily not hit the hostage. Hostage being your teammate, who unfortunately gets hooked out of a kill, or sometimes gets hooked out of being killed. But basically, the just put yourself in a situation.
Your angle is very important.
Your angle's
especially
important.
Now that everyone is the helm of the Dominator creep following them.
Also,
that's the best thing about playing Druid is I just have my fucking units surrounding me at all times.
I know.
It's great.
Yeah, you can't get hooked on Lone Druid.
Put a kobold on patrol next to me, and I'm like, this is great.
Yeah, that's also another cool thing to do. Make sure that your hook is concealed by trees too, if you can, because a lot of the time you'll give yourself away in that they can just see your hook coming like for half of its total length, and then they're just like, oh, bloop, and then just back. Just same idea with Marana arrow, right? Like you want it to fly through as many trees as possible before it hits the hero, and it has a lot to do with angle, which is why Blink Dagger is such a great item on Pudge. It's not to necessary. It's not to chase people down. It's so that you can position yourself instantly, so that you can seize that opportunity. It is a giant opportunity cost, and if you're not able to seize the opportunity, you're going to flounder on Pudge. He is literally, you make your fate with Pudge for sure. And I like that, and I don't like that at the same time, because I mean he acts as a frontliner in some cases, and he acts as a sneaky bastard in some cases. So I don't know. I think that about wraps it up. This was a long show. I'm going to, for anybody that listened, I'm going to put timestamps on specific heroes that we talked about, just in case you want to hit a hero that you specifically wanted to hear about, because this was an extra long Proudland, where we got into, what,
Was it like 2 hours? It was like an hour and a half.
2 hours. We're over 2 hours.
Oh,
so
Jesus.
Quickly, I'm not going to kill you.
Cut this and take a week off.
I know, serious. That would be sweet. We could have just done like, we're gonna do position 1 or position 2 and 3, 2 and 3.5, and then we'll do the rest. No, but I thought it was good that we get it out there. It gives you guys some time to chew on it, or if you just want to learn about a specific position and how to go about it. I think Proud definitely simplified some things that you were probably already doing, but once again, knowing that you're doing something is better than not knowing that you're doing it and doing it well. Anyway, you can always email us at defensepatients@gmail.com. Please be sure to tune in at discord.gg/.p tomorrow at 9 p.m. EST. That's not tomorrow, that's actually today. Excuse me, Monday. Monday, the 6th of February, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time is Tuesday Q&A with me and Ursinity. If you want to be a live caller and have a chance to win $20 Steam money, go ahead and direct message Cyphus on discord.gg/.p. We'll be streaming it live. We'll answer your questions. Rather, I will curate your question, and Ursi will do his best on answering it, and I will come in for whatever bits of knowledge I may have, or whatever funny quip that I alone think is funny. Once again, Patreon, thank you guys so much. Patreon is kicking some serious ass. Our next goal is $500. We're surprisingly getting pretty damn close to that. So I just want to thank you all once again. It's a huge amount of money that you're giving us, which is paying all the bills and allowing us to do a lot of cool things within the community. Also, in-house is on Wednesday, and I'm not going to kill you with plugs. We will read iTunes reviews, I promise you. I just want to sort out whose has been read and whose has not been read.
I'm like so sure we read that one.
I think it's because I read it already and was like, dude, this is hilarious. And there's a bunch of really good reviews. We will get to them, I promise. And thank you so much for leaving iTunes reviews. We're getting close to 100 iTunes reviews, which is a big benchmark. To get your show reviewed 100 times is huge, and to have comments, 100 different comments on your show. Gonna help with SEO a lot, so we really appreciate it. Thank you guys, tons and tons and tons. This is Roland for position 1, position 2, position 3, position 4, position 5, and Proud. Wishing you all well and have fun playing Dota 2.